They said love was complicated. But no one warned him it would look like her. Adrian Cole built his empire on control, every deal calculated, every risk measured. Nothing in his world happened by accident. Until the day Clara Whitmore walked back into his life, like she had every right to be there. The problem? She wasn't just any woman. She was the one his brother never truly let go of. And the one Adrian had no business wanting. But desire doesn't ask for permission. And love, real love, doesn't wait for the perfect moment. It arrives quietly, then changes everything. And by the time Adrian realized he was falling, it was already too late to stop. Please like and subscribe to the channel for more romantic stories. Adrian Cole had everything money could buy: sleek penthouses, fast cars, and a reputation that made people whisper his name in admiration. Yet, none of it ever felt like enough. Not until her. Clara Whitmore walked back into his life on an ordinary Tuesday afternoon, carrying nothing but a soft smile and a past that tangled them both in ways neither could ignore. She had once been his brother Daniel's world, the woman everyone thought he would marry. But life had quietly shifted, and what once seemed permanent had gently unraveled. Adrian hadn't seen her in 3 years. And yet, the moment she stepped into his office, it felt like no time had passed at all. "Hi, Adrian," Clara said, her voice warm, familiar. He stood still for a second longer than necessary, taking her in, the same thoughtful eyes, the same calm presence that somehow made everything around her softer. "Clara," he replied, his voice lower than usual. "I didn't know you were back in the city." "I just moved back," she said. "I thought I'd start fresh." Something about the way she said it made him pause. There was no bitterness, no regret, just quiet hope. And that unsettled him more than anything. Over the following weeks, Clara became a quiet presence in Adrian's carefully structured life. What started as casual coffee meetings turned into long conversations, shared laughter, and a comfort neither of them expected. With Clara, Adrian wasn't the billionaire everyone admired. He was just Adrian. He found himself looking forward to her messages, her gentle teasing, the way she listened like every word mattered. She never treated him like the powerful man he was. Instead, she saw him, the parts he rarely showed anyone else. And slowly, something inside him began to shift. One evening, they sat on the balcony of his penthouse, the city glowing beneath them like a sea of stars. "You've changed," Clara said softly. Adrian glanced at her. "Is that a good thing?" She smiled. "It is. You're lighter." He exhaled, leaning back. "That might be because of you." Clara looked away, her expression unreadable. "Adrian," she began, then stopped. He turned fully toward her. "What is it?" Her fingers tightened around the mug in her hands. "We shouldn't forget how we know each other." There it was, the unspoken truth between them. Daniel. His brother. The past they couldn't rewrite. Adrian's jaw tightened slightly, but his voice stayed calm. "You and Daniel ended things a long time ago." "Yes," she said quietly. "But that doesn't mean it doesn't matter." He studied her for a moment. "Does it matter to you, now?" Clara didn't answer right away. And in that silence, Adrian realized something that both thrilled and terrified him. He was already in love with her. Days turned into something softer, more intimate. The tension between them wasn't heavy, it was gentle, like a question waiting to be answered. And then, one night, it finally broke. They were standing in his kitchen, laughing over something trivial, when the laughter faded and the air shifted. Clara looked up at him. Adrian didn't look away. "Tell me to stop," he said quietly. Clara's heart raced. "Stop what?" "This," he said, stepping closer. "Whatever this is between us." Her breath caught. Because she couldn't. She didn't want to. "I don't think I can," she admitted. That was all it took. Adrian closed the distance, his hand gently brushing her cheek before he kissed her, slow, careful, as if giving her time to pull away. But she didn't. Instead, she leaned in. And everything changed. The world didn't fall apart. No chaos followed. No anger or confrontation. Just something quiet, real, and undeniably right. For the first time in his life, Adrian felt certain, not about business, not about success, but about her. Clara wasn't just someone he cared about. She was someone he could build a life with. A week later, Adrian made a decision. He would tell Daniel. Not because he had to, but because it was the right thing to do. Clara deserved honesty. And so did his brother. That evening, Adrian walked into Daniel's house, his mind steady, his heart set. Daniel greeted him with an easy smile. "This is a surprise. Everything okay?" Adrian nodded. "Yeah. I just needed to talk to you about something." They sat across from each other. For a moment, neither spoke. Then Adrian took a breath. "It's about Clara." Daniel's expression changed, just slightly. "But enough." Adrian continued, his voice calm. "She's back. We've been seeing each other." Silence filled the room. Longer this time. He expected confusion. Maybe even tension. But Daniel just looked at him. Carefully. As if measuring something. Finally, Daniel leaned back, a slow smile forming, not quite warm, not quite cold. "I was wondering when you'd tell me," he said. Adrian frowned slightly. "What do you mean?" Daniel's eyes held his. "I know she's back," he said. "And I know about you too." Adrian's chest tightened. Then. "But what you don't know," Daniel interrupted gently, "is why we really broke up." The room suddenly felt smaller. Adrian's voice lowered. "What are you saying?" Daniel stood, walking toward the window, his back turned. "I never stopped loving her," he said quietly. Adrian's heart skipped. "And," Daniel added, turning back slowly, "she never really told you the whole truth either, did she?" A pause. A breath. A realization creeping in. Adrian looked at him, something uneasy settling in his chest. "What truth?" Daniel met his gaze. And then he said, "I think it's time you found out why she came back, and why it has everything to do with you." Adrian's world tilted, just slightly. Because suddenly, nothing felt as simple as it had just moments ago. And Clara might be hiding something he never expected. Adrian didn't leave Daniel's house right away. For the first time in years, uncertainty crept into the carefully controlled rhythm of his life. His brother's words echoed in his mind, not loud, but persistent. "Why she came back, and why it has everything to do with you." That night, Adrian stood by the window of his penthouse, staring out at the city Clara had so quietly returned to. He didn't feel anger. He felt the need to understand. So instead of letting doubt grow into something it didn't need to be, he did the one thing that mattered most. He went to her. Clara opened the door, surprised to see him. "Adrian? It's late." "I went to see Daniel," he said gently. She stilled. Not defensive. Not afraid. Just still. "Oh," she whispered. Adrian stepped inside, closing the door softly behind him. "He told me there's something I don't know. About why you left. About why you came back." Clara looked down at her hands, then back up at him. There was no hesitation in her eyes. Only honesty. "I was wondering when this moment would come," she said quietly. Adrian's voice softened. "Then tell me." They sat together, not too close, not too far. Clara took a slow breath. When Daniel and I ended things, it wasn't because we didn't care about each other, she began. We did. Very much. Adrian listened, steady and silent. But love isn't always enough when it's not the right kind, she continued. We wanted different lives, different futures. And for a long time, we tried to ignore that. She smiled faintly. We thought effort could fix everything. Adrian nodded slightly. He understood that more than he wanted to admit. So we made a choice, she said. A calm one. A mutual one. We ended things before we started resenting each other. Adrian frowned slightly. That's not what Daniel made it sound like. Clara hesitated. Because that's not the whole story, she admitted. Her gaze met his, steady now. The truth is, I stayed away because of you. Adrian blinked. Me? Clara nodded. I noticed you long before you ever noticed me, she said softly. Even when I was with Daniel. His chest tightened. I didn't act on it, she quickly added. I would never have done that. But I knew something wasn't right, not because of Daniel, but because of how I felt when you were around. Adrian exhaled slowly, processing every word. So when things ended between us, she continued, I left. Not just to move on from him, but to give myself space from you too. Silence settled between them. But it wasn't heavy. It was clarifying. Then why come back? Adrian asked quietly. Clara smiled, a little more brightly this time. Because I realized something while I was gone, she said. He waited. I wasn't running from feelings that would fade, she said. I was running from something real. Her voice softened. And I didn't want to spend the rest of my life wondering what would have happened if I'd been brave enough to face it. Adrian stood up slowly, walking closer to her. Why didn't you tell me? He asked. Clara looked up at him. Because I didn't know if you felt the same. He let out a quiet laugh, almost disbelieving. I've been trying to convince myself this wasn't real, he admitted. That it was complicated, messy, something I should walk away from. And, she asked gently. He shook his head. I was wrong. Clara stood too, now just inches away from him. What about Daniel? She asked softly. Adrian's expression softened. He still cares about you, he said honestly. But not in the way that means you belong together. Clara nodded slowly. And you? She asked. Adrian didn't hesitate this time. I don't just care about you, he said. I've fallen in love with you. The words didn't rush. They settled. Warm, certain, and real. Clara's eyes shimmered, but she smiled. I was hoping you'd say that, she whispered. Adrian reached for her hand, threading his fingers through hers. No more leaving, he said quietly. No more running, she agreed. The next few days were simple. Not dramatic. Not complicated. Adrian spoke to Daniel again, this time without tension, without uncertainty. And Daniel, after a long conversation and a quiet understanding, let go of the past they had all been holding on to. Because sometimes love doesn't break things. It just finds its right place. Weeks later, Adrian stood once again on his balcony. But this time, he wasn't alone. Clara leaned against him, her head resting lightly on his shoulder as they watched the city glow beneath them. You know, she said thoughtfully, this still feels a little unreal. Adrian smiled. That's because you walked into my life twice. She tilted her head up. And you didn't miss your chance the second time. No, he said softly. I didn't. For a man who had once believed he already had everything. Adrian finally understood what it meant to have enough. And more importantly, someone to share it with.